Hello and welcome to this tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how to install and configure YaraEditor Web Edition. YaraEditor Web Edition is a web framework to create, organize, and test your Yara rules. So first of all, I'm on the website. I'm on the documentation on the Aliases website, and I'm going to install the prerequisites. So here we are. All the dependencies are installed. Now we head up to the installation. So the first thing to do is to get the sources that you should have already gotten from your email if you have purchased the framework. So here it should be something like yet.zip. You just need to unzip it and you get the full sources folder. This folder, I need to move it to the www folder of the Apache root directory. This is the first step. So let's do this. So now let's move all the sources to my /var /HTML folder. We place all the sources at the root of this folder. So I'm going to just move with a sudo everything what's in the zip that you've unextracted, unzipped. Everything here, we place it into the HTML folder. So here we are. So now when I browse the localhost root, I get an error saying the database does not exist. So it says unable to connect the database, verify config.php. So this is the next step. We need to configure the config.php. There's the explanation of all the fields here with what you need to change, what you don't need to change, and what you can optionally change. So it's not that big, but there is some homework to do here. So let's do it. So the first thing to change is the database credentials. Sorry, I just wrote. And something I forgot to tell you, we need to create a database. It's actually the next step, but it could be done before editing the config file. So I'm gonna do it with php myadmin. So I'm creating a new database. The name is up to you, but it should be the same in the config file. So, yeah, create. So now I get my database, put the name in here, and here my website would be accessible from localhost. And what else do I need to change? Everything else is optional. Yeah, everything is optional. No, this needs to be changed. This is where we will store the files for testing. So for now, I'm just creating something. Gonna create a new folder in the same directory. This is not good practice, but for testing, it should be enough. Storage. I'm gonna create it. Same in here for publication. And that's it. Don't forget to save it. Now I'm gonna create a storage directory. And that's it. Let's try again. So now it says, it doesn't say the connection failed, it says the database installation has been found. No database installation has been found. So it's not finding the tables, which is expected. So just run the install script. It creates all the tables, and there's an important thing here. It creates the admin account. So don't run to another page for now. Please save it first. I'm just going to show you that it created all the tables necessary for the framework. So now I'm going to save the password, and you can just log in. So I realized I made a mistake in my config file. I wrote localhost instead of localhost. So let's edit it again, and it should be working now. Coming back to the previous page. So localhost. Thank you. So let's try to log again. Just gonna refresh the page and log in. Here we are. So I'm admin with the password that I just copied. So this is temporary password. I'm gonna put it full screen. You can change the password as soon as you're logged in. And put an email in here, admin at mywebsite.com. New password. This is the old password, and you can put some profile picture here. While we're here, there's in other settings the email notification that you can toggle if you want to receive an email each time a new publication succeeds. So this is the setting you need to turn on. So let's take a look. Everything is installed. Now you can browse the different pages, And this is the dashboard. It's empty, of course. So here's the thing. I'm running an admin account. I would have teammates that will be invited. You can send them invites, or you can open the registration uh, with the pages permissions. This is here, all the pages permissions. It describes for each page who can access it. If the permissions are not matched, the user is redirected to the login or the account page. So this is the registration. Where is it? It's not in here. Should be here. Register.php. But that page is not private. It's left public so that anyone can access it and create his own account. If you want to make it private, just change that setting here and yeah, put nobody in here, but administrator maybe, so that only the administrator can send invites to allow people creating an account. Nobody else can create an account. So let's go back to the actual framework. The framework works with two different modes. There is the workflow mode and there is the public mode. Public mode is a special mode where everyone on the framework is at the same level. There is no validation. There is no publisher, manager, and stuff like this. So everyone can publish rules and they will be integrated into the package, into the publication automatically. In our case, we will study the workflow mode. It's more suitable for a team with reviewers and approbation. So here's the thing. First, create rows. There is some flow. There is some form to create your own role. But first of all, you need to create a file to store your roles. This can only be done by managers. In live files, you can create files. I'm going to call it test. And I will need to handle PE imports. So now when I create rules and put them into the test file, they will all be compiled into that file. So let's create a rule. My test rule. I'm going to tag it, tag 1, tag 2, and since we are targeting a malware, we're going to name it. So my malware is test Trojan. Can put a comment in here, and there's the interesting part. You can add metas like the hash, or anything you think it's relevant. And this is the actual signature. So my test Trojan will have one string having hello world Trojan inside. And it's an ASCII. The condition to match that string is any of them. We can add some more, Trojan 2. Oops, put a different name, it's better. And that's it, that's my rule. You can see the preview here, exactly like when you create your own Yara rules manually with an editor. And there is syntax highlighting, which is great. Save the rule. Now you can see it's in a draft mode. draft status, sorry, and this is a creation request. We'll see later that when we modify an existing row, that will be different. That can be an update or a removal request. So now our role is created. You can see there is a diff. It's not relevant for a creation, but it can be useful when you edit a role so that you will see only what has been modified. So now I'm going to test it, check the syntax. It says the role is valid and the status changes to valid. I'm going to add some error just to see what it looks like. Just remove the quote. Don't forget to save after any change. And let's do it again. Okay, rule has errors. So it says line 12, unexpected end of file. Yeah, because I removed the quote. So it says the error is on line 12, but it's more on line 11 because it was expecting some quote end. So as you can see, when you have errors on your rule, it tells you what and where. So that is great too if you want to fix it. Just so you know, when your rule has errors, you cannot submit it for reviewer. You need to have a valid rule before it's submitted for approbation. This to avoid having invalid rules into the publication package. So I'm going to fix it, save it. This time it will be valid. And that's it. I need to submit it for review, for approbation, and the workflow is over for my side. It's now submitted. And there is another view that is very important. It's my work. This is where you have all the work in progress for yourself. So you can edit your roles that you have created. And in fact, you can edit everything you've done before it's approved by your manager. So while it's not approved, it's still in your My Work view. So you can edit, copy a role, remove it if you realize it's not needed anymore. You can export the file on the role actually, and you can open the view form, view page. So now that it's in submission, I'm going to show you what the approval page looks like. The approbation page only shows if you have enough rights to do so. I'm going to show you what rights are needed here in the permissions. I see everything because I'm on the admin account, as you can see, but if you create more users and give them different permissions, they probably don't have the right to do some actions or to see some pages. So this is all the permissions. New member is neutral. It doesn't give anything. Administrator, of course, has any right. Reader can only view the rows but cannot interact with them. Contributor is able to write rules and to submit them. The manager can approve rules. The publisher is a special account that has the right to make new publication packages. And client is a very low profile permission that allows any software client to consume the API. Like for example, when you publish a new package, the idea behind this is to be able to reuse it from a software like an anti-malware or any software that needs to scan files with rules. So generate a new user account with a client permission and take the token. Token is in view profile. Take this API key and put it into your software. This is a low profile API key. It doesn't allow to break the database. You cannot edit anything. You can just download the new packages and query for updates. That's all. So let's go back to my rules. If you are a manager, you can see this menu and you can go on the approval page. The approval page shows all the elements, all the rules created by the contributors. And here you can see the diff. Here, since it's a creation rule, there's nothing to diff, it's the whole rule. And you can either reject it with a message, reject it, I won't do it, or you can approve it. So let's approve it. It disappeared, it's expected. So now the rule is not in edition table anymore. It has been processed, parsed, and put into the live tables. If I go to my work, it's not here anymore, but now I can see it in the live files. You can see there is one rule in my test file. We can open it just to see. This is my rule. You can also retrieve it into the search page. Let's try something like tag 3. This won't show anything. Now if I retry with tag 2, it shows my rule. So this is the search page where you can search for rules. And since it's a live rule, you can create edition requests or removal requests. You can download the file, copy the rule, or view it. You can see who has created a rule and the file, the tags, and the thread name. The history, it will show that I've added a new rule and a new file. Recycle bin will be empty for now, and the other menu I will show you later. So first, let's try to modify an existing rule. I'm gonna take my rule back and I want to view it. I realize I made a mistake and I want to change that. So I just click on the edit button. For now, we are still in the live rule. Okay. And we can edit hello world Trojan free. Change that. I will save the changes and notify what's going on. We are not on the live rule anymore. We are on the edition rule because we've created a new update request. We have not changed the live rule. It's still here. If I remove my request, it won't be changed at all. So we've just duplicated the content of the live rule into an edition rule, plus the modification. So now the diff will show that you've changed that part, and you can, as usual, validate the new rule and submit it for approval. My manager will review the changes. It's more relevant now because it's an update request. I like this change, so I'm gonna approve it. And now you will see that the live rule has been modified. Let's see that. Here, modified. So what if I want to remove my rule? It's the same. Just create a removal request. So it says removal request created. The rule is still here because we have not validated yet the request. You will see the removal request into my work, removal request. You need to check syntax, even though there is no syntax to check. Yes, there is no syntax to check. So you can just submit it for approval. Manager will approve it. The diff will show that I remove everything. Approve the rule. No, approve the request, and the rule will be gone. Gone. So, okay, everything will be seen into the history. Well, actually, it's not gone. It's in the recycle bin. So in history, you can see that I've added a new rule. Then I edited it. You can also see the changes I made, and that now it's in the recycle bin. So I will recreate a new rule to test publication. My test rule number 2. And you can see the old tags are now being suggested, which is great. And the Trojan test is suggested as well because it's still in the database. So, so my route is in live. I'm going to show you the threads page. You can also click here on the thread name. It will take you to the thread page. Every thread that you assign to rules are saved into the database. They have more information that you can change. Let's say my Trojan test is potentially malicious and it's not actually a Trojan but a spyware. I can add some description and save this. So now when I go back to the live page, you will see the color has changed because it's potentially malicious now. That is a cool thing if you want to track families and add some description to them. So now the test. I'm going to test my rule. So first you need to create what's called a test set. It contains unit tests and each test set is related to one rule. So my test set 1 is related to rule it's called my test rule number 2. So now you can create rules. Let's open the test set. And if you remember, the rule was matching some string test R. So let's create a test that will match it. You can create a test for ANSI, Unicode strings, X buffer, and even files. If you have an MRF framework, a website deployed somewhere, you can even attach it to your YAD configuration and scan files stored on the MRF website, just with the hash, the MD5 hash. We will not cover that in the tutorial, but it's something that can be done. So let's try test R. Oh, even better. Test R enclosed into some bigger string. And let's run the rule. It passed. So it says it matched the Trojan test rule, and yeah, it found the test R string. I can create another one to show you that it can also not match. This string will definitely not match the rule. And you can run all the unit tests at once with this button. It failed, yeah. So this one failed, this one passed. So the test can be useful if you want to create rules and test them. If you have complicated statements, this can be useful before releasing the rule to production. The last thing I wanted to show you before publication is aliases. This is a way to put shortcuts in your rules. So let's say I have some big string that I usually put in my rules. I can define an alias to it. So let's call that big string 1. And the priority is here if you want to include aliases into other aliases. So let's say I want to create another alias that will use the big string 1 alias. I will need to put it a higher priority. It's explained in the documentation. So the value would be something very long with string R inside. Whoops, str. Well, confirm. Now you can use this alias in your rules. Let's try this. Here it is. So at compilation time, or even at generation time, the big string 1 will be replaced with its actual value. We can test it. Rule is valid. Let's open the view page and export the rule. Here, you can see that my alias value was replaced at compilation, at generation time. So if someday that value changes, I don't need to modify all the rules where that string was used, but just the alias that will change it in every rule at once. So this is very convenient if you reuse a lot of same patterns into your rules. And the last thing I wanted to show you is publications. So publications is a way to is a way to compile your roads, all your files containing roads into the same package. Okay, before I show you publication, I realized there's something important that was not done. The storage folder needs to have the proper rights to work, and it's probably not the case here. Storage, yeah, was created as root, whereas my Apache server is using the test account. So I need to chown test storage with sudo. And now it should be okay. So let's run a publication. So there's probably something else preventing me from using the publication, but it should be working. If you have any trouble, feel free to ask. It's probably something very simple. So once you have created a new publication, in theory, you should have a new line here written test status. This allows you to test your package before it's released to production. There's two different ways to use the API for downloading new publications. You can add some parameter to use the beta versions instead. So you can play with that parameter to test the new publications with your client before pushing them to production. Once it's tested and you know it's working properly, just push the publish button and it will be released for production and available to all your clients. You can publish as many packages as you want. You can roll back a package if you realize it's wrong. You just need to unpromote it with the button and the previous package will be taken instead. So this ends my tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. This was a pretty long tutorial, but I wanted to show you all the features, or pretty much. And if you have any question, feel free to look at the documentation and to ask us if it's not solving your problem. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.